Hey everybody on YouTube. Today I thought I'd post another vintage video repair or a follow-up to my VTC 7100 made by Sanyo. This is a very unusual, very unique video cassette machine. This was introduced in 1976 prior to the reel-to-reel EIJs after they went obsolete. This was a format that was neck and neck, I believe, during the time with Betamax, because Betamax was released in '74. So it's prior to VHS, but into the realm of when Betamax was still in its realm of getting started. It's a very unusual cassette format. Sanyo tried to come up with a cassette format that you could connect a video camera to. It's black and white. You used to be able to shoot video in black and white with a camera that attached to it. It also had a special EIJ television that connected to it for video playback, and you could actually record television programs as well. It's a very, very rare machine. I've had interest from all over the world about this machine. I've had a lot of people who have been writing to me, several people, a couple who've actually have this machine. So I hope they're paying close attention to my videos to understand that this machine was a disaster. I was given two machines as parts. Most of the parts were missing. Basically, the circuit boards or the motherboards were broken. The switches were all broken. Whoever tried to work on these machines before they were donated or whatever the deal was, they were not an electronic technician. They were just messing around with them, and they actually caused a lot more damage than they realized. But I was able to slowly repair the actual systems board on the back of this. Luckily, they didn't break the switches off of it. And the actual video playback board, which is on the side of it. I started off by recapping both boards, which took quite a while. I had to replace every capacitor on this unit. The capacitors were completely dried out. This unit now is 40 years old. It's obviously been sitting for a very, very long time. I had to replace all the belts. I had to replace all the capacitors. But the biggest problem is I had to replace some of the special ICs that were on this unit. This machine actually used some special dipped ICs made by Sanyo. They had 7 or 8 prongs on them. Several of those were shot or shorted out because people tried to turn these units on after 40 years. And with the capacitors being blown, you have a very big option of actually blowing out the circuitry on these machines, which obviously this was done on through all 3 of these because the capacitors were completely shot. So I had to replace a lot of the special components on this machine, and this was a real tough one. I have to admit, I've had challenges in my days, but this one has to rock the boat as far as vintage video equipment to repair, especially because parts are almost impossible to get for this unit. And I'm talking impossible. I've searched high and low. Very impossible to find some of these specialized parts that's on these cards. I mean, it's extremely, oh my God, it's really, really hard. I've been searching online, and this was a prevalent unit that was used in Europe. So I've been talking to a few of my vintage video repair guys out in Europe and scrounged a couple of the hard parts that I really needed. They happened to have them in their parts bin and had to pay a pretty penny for them, but they gave me the parts because I knew I really needed them. And so I finally got those in this week. A couple of the ICs I really needed. Also, I had to replace a couple of the Mitsubishi ICs that were on the record playback card itself it had to do with the RF and various things, and those weren't as hard to find, but I was able to locate them, and I replaced those. Anyways, long story, this thing was a nightmare to replace the parts that needed to be replaced. The capacitors were bad. The motor drive ICs had to be changed. There's an actual Sanyo IC, very specific with 12 pins on it. Very obsolete. I had to get that off eBay. I was lucky somebody listed some of those for sale. Those are extremely hard to get. But after all this time, I got all the parts in, got everything, all the capacitors recapped and everything else. And today I want to announce success. Got video piping through this machine in the record position. So I'm actually able to loop video through the machine. And what that means is all the circuitry that connects to the motherboard and the RP record playback board is working correctly. It's taking video in, and today I was setting up all the settings with my oscilloscope to try to get all the proper signals. I have not gotten video playback on this thing done yet. I'm still working on that. But my main worry is I was very, very worried that I'd be able to get this thing to play video through the unit because of the fact it's a very unusual video setup. And with all these ICs and capacitors and various very rare parts, I wasn't too sure if they were going to work, if they were any good, because, you know, they weren't brand new. They were used parts that I've gotten from some people out in Europe. They even told me they were used. So I was very, very nervous that the parts that I replaced that I've gotten from Europe was actually going to work. Well, today, success. It actually loops video through the unit in the record position. The audio works. It records audio. It does not record video yet. I still got to get that problem figured out, but it does loop the video through the system. And once you get to that point, you know you're on the right track, that the deck is pretty close to being restored. But today I wanted to point out success. We've got video loop through the actual unit itself at the record position. That means I restored the video boards correctly with some used parts, which I was very nervous about because you never know when you get used parts if they're going to be any good. And it was the only option I had because I could not find these parts. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have this particular unit, please contact me. You can't just fire one of these up. They will not play properly or may not play absolutely at all. If they've been sitting a long time, the capacitors will be bad on them. A lot of problems with this machine. So if you're trying to play back a V-Chord 1 and you have this unit, contact me. I can advise you what you need to do. But I am making a lot of progress on this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video.